Yeah, I'd like to have a little chat about that if we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, you go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think there's definitely a difference in the preparation between the European players and the American players. And of course, we're talking generalities here, right? There's certain American players that we talked about, Danny Olsen this weekend, who kind of reminded us of a European player, just works at his game all the time, and he's kind of fit and, seems like he does the right things. And, that's what we've seen out of Europe now for really a couple decades, starting with players like Niels and Thorsten. And I think where it's left us is in a place where, the U.S. is struggling to keep up, really. So it looked like Sky was, did Sky call that?
No, he didn't call that.
It almost looked like he was going to keep shooting, and now they're smiling. I see Roberto smiling. So
he played it in the top right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty clear to me, Mark. And, I think if the United States is ever going to get to a place, one, we got to build the juniors program. Two, we have to really treat the game like a sport. And I think that's the biggest thing we see out of the Europeans. They get up, they work on their game, they eat well, they work out, they work on their game some more. It's very structured. When I interviewed Fedor, one of the things that came out in that interview is he said, yeah, so, I have my plan each week. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute, plan? What are you talking about? Do you actually have a written plan? He's like, yeah, how else would I keep track of it? Like, it's obvious. Why wouldn't you have a plan? Well, how many players in the United States have a notebook of what they work on every single day and, sit down on a Sunday night and say, okay, here's what I'm going to do Monday through Sunday. And I think that kind of shows a little bit of the separation between the two continents right now. But I'd really like to hear your take, Mark.
Well, I totally agree with what you just said. I mean, that the Europeans, they treat it like a sport. They are athletes. They eat properly. They work out. They have a regime that they go through where they will do drills and they will keep records of every single drill, and they'll try and beat that the score every single day. And they will play matches at a certain time. They will train at a certain time. They will go running at a certain time. They will eat at the right times. They do everything. They treat their body. They realise that to be a good player, this is such a mind game, and to be fit in the mind, you must be fit in your body as well. And it's a big part of the European thing. And of course, the technique side of it as well. We take it so seriously over here. And you talk to some, players from other countries, and they're saying, what? But we just want to learn how to pot balls. We want to learn the how to draw back, and we want to yes, of course you do, but you can only do that with the correct fundamentals. And that's why Europe is. I think I read a statistic out of I don't know how up to date this is, but I believe in the top 32 players, I think it was about 14 of them were Europeans. I think I'm right there. And there was 4 Filipinos. I think there was 3 Americans. I think 5 Chinese Taipei, something like that, And it just showed that we do take the game more seriously, I think, and more of a sport.
You think they take a lot of cues from the snooker world?
Absolutely do. 100%.
Yeah, the presentation there is very different than anything pool related as compared to snooker. So I think that if you have an example like that, it's a very close cousin or even brother of pool. Snooker being that example, I can see why they would take it in that way.
Yeah.
We've even seen some crossovers.
Somebody kind of, said in the chat, what am I talking about? Most American players have notebooks. I haven't seen one. But I mean, maybe they do. I'm sure guys like, like probably Justin probably has a routine, something he does. Justin Bergman, Sky probably has a routine, but I don't think it's the same as what you would get out of like Fedor or Josh, Josh Filler, or even Jason Shaw. But I could be wrong.
I remember something from your podcast with Christina Tkach. talking about she doesn't really play. She doesn't really use drills very much in the lead up to matches and stuff. She'll play the same races that she's going to be playing. She will start at the same time. She will treat it. And I love this saying where people say, if you practice the way that you're going to play in a match, then when you come to play a match, it's just like practice. And I kind of like that sentiment, you know. So you're basically playing a match. You're training to play a match, rather than just doing drills and working on shots. You're actually practicing to play a match.
Yeah, I've heard lots of top players say exactly that, Mark. You know, practice the way that you play the way that you practice, and vice versa. I mean, you know, that's what it is. It's just repetitive. You know, you got to keep doing the same types of things, and it becomes second nature. And it's not, oh man, what do I do in this situation? Well, if you've been doing that for the last 3 months leading up to this, you wouldn't have that question when you're at the table. You would have situated yourself with that, you know, last month or something, and worked on that particular shot or that situation.
Yes. The big thing about technique, the most important part about having a good technique, is it gives you the ability, when you're in a match, when you're in pressure situations, your technique and your fundamentals will hold you steady. If they do break down, you've got a list that you can work through of, what am I doing wrong? Am I on the line of the shot? Is my arm straight? Am I following through? Am I keeping my head down? Am I looking at the object ball? You know, and it's so easy. The great Steve Davis used to say, if I'm playing bad, I can work out why within 5 shots. Some people take a whole match and they just go through and they don't know what they're doing wrong. Yeah. Whereas, you know, you can work out, it's a process of elimination. And he would start, the first thing he would do every single time would be to exaggerate, keeping his head down on the shot and not moving. And he would accentuate it, you know, and really, really stay down.
So, Mark,